everybody comes on. Or should we just get started? Just get started. Okay, so my name's Vicky.
I'm Trent.
This is Trent, and we've been travelling for 18 months in Australia with our 3 kids. They are aged 8, 10 and 12, so we've got grade 4,
Yes, 7.
grade 6 and grade 7. And we just wanted to do a couple of live videos because there's questions that we get asked all the time and that we see asked all of the time. And hi Trip on Wheels, I'm assuming you can all hear us and see us properly. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us properly, or if I need to speak up. Anyway, so we see these 2 questions asked all the time. We get asked them all the time. One is about finances and the other one is about schooling the kids. So today we're going to talk about finances, and I've lined up another couple of maybe 2 or 3 people who are willing to come on live with me and talk about finances and how they've funded the lab and the different work that they're doing, because there's so many different ways to do it. And we've met people who are, some people who are doing it just 12 months and smashing it out and loving life, and other people who are doing it longer term like us and they're making it work. They're being nurses, tradies, heaps of tradies.
People working in mines.
People doing FIFO still, all sorts of different ways. And so I just thought, well, these were the questions that I had before we started travelling, and I was wondering like how it worked, what it looked like when you were on a work stint, how much you had to work, how you found that work, what kind of work you did and stuff like that. So let's just get into it, and we'll start to try and answer some of those questions. So obviously this is just us talking about our experience and how we do it, and like I've already said, there's so many different ways, and if you really want to make it work, you will. So yeah, we're family of 5. We left from Yanchep. So Yanchep was home for us in Western Australia. It's about an hour north of Perth, for 14 years before we did this. And we're travelling in a triple bunk 21-foot Willow Boab caravan, and we've got a D-Max 2018.
Second hand.
And that's it. We keep it as light as we possibly can. Keep everything as basic as we possibly can while still being comfortable and workable. Alright, so what did we do before the lap? Before the lap, I was, so before kids, I've done a lot of jobs, but mostly I worked in accounts, and I had a job working with Rio Tinto in Perth in the accounts department. Then when we had kids, I didn't work for, it turned out to be 10 years because we had 3 kids really close together. But just before we did the lap, I ended up going back for a year, which was great because it helped us pay off, well, just pay and save for the rig and everything. And Trent?
I'm a bricklayer. I have my own business for the whole time we're in Perth. And basically the last few years, when we decided we were going to do this, I just went hard, worked hard, as much private work, put that money away, and with Vicky working back at work for that year, helped pay for everything.
Yeah, so that kind of leads us into how we got ourselves into a position financially to be able to do this. And I think we have to kind of backtrack a little bit more prior to making the decision to travel. We actually had a bit of a breakthrough moment, and I couldn't pinpoint exactly when it was, but it was probably a good 5 or 6 years before we decided we wanted to travel again. So in Perth, particularly in construction, there's a lot of ups and downs. The market fluctuates a lot. The builders' rates will go up. They'll be up for about a year, would you say?
A year or 2, you can make really good money in Perth, 2 or 3 years, and then they'll just drop it, and it'll just bottom right out, and it's almost not worth doing it.
Yeah, and so prior to that, we were in the mindset of work hard now, stretch ourselves now, get ourselves in a good position, because so that when we're older we don't have to. And so that's what we were pushing for, we were striving for. We'd done a rental property, and we just really pushed ourselves to the limits, and we went through about 2 rounds of the up downs in Perth, and basically had this breakthrough moment when it was, everything that we'd saved, everything, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 So on the second round, when the rates went down and we were struggling to make ends meet, and all the money that we'd saved we had to use just to keep paying the bills and everything, we kind of go, what are we doing? And we changed our mindset from that kind of work hard now to just pull back, pull on the brakes, enjoy life now, and you know, worry about later kind of thing. But we had to get ourselves out of the mess that we were already in. So we pulled, you know, tightened the purse strings basically. We didn't go out. We didn't spend money where we didn't need to
Upgrade
spend money.
cars.
Yeah,
Just kept the same cars for like 8-9 years.
yeah, we didn't upgrade the phone. Like every place, I shopped around for all of our insurances, mortgages, everything. We got it right back down until we could just slowly pay off all our debt. So when we actually did decide that we wanted to travel, we had paid off a lot of our debt and we only had our mortgage, so which was great because it meant then that we just had to work on saving enough for the rig, enough for spending money to leave with, and I'm so glad that we had that transition, that mindset, because it gave us the freedom to be able to do this basically. But it took time and work, and yeah, we did, like I said, we just tightened the purse strings. We didn't spend money where we didn't need to spend money, kind of thing. So then so when we did make the decision to travel, we just doubled down, and I got a job and I went back to work full time, and COVID helped because the rates went right up. I mean, we thought it was going to do the opposite, but transfer rates went right up through the roof, and yeah, house prices
Tradies
went up.
were in demand, so
Yeah.
you could basically
all that stuff. So it just
Name
worked in
the
our
price.
favour. And then, so if we move on now to the rig and how much that cost us to set up. So basically, we were complete novices. We weren't campers, we weren't caravanners, we had no equipment. We had to buy everything from scratch, and we didn't know anything about it. So we did a lot of research online, on YouTube videos, watching other influencers that were already doing it and stuff like that. And that was a huge undertaking to kind of figure that all out. And we set the budget for I didn't want to spend more than 75,000 on the caravan. We wanted it to be comfortable and have everything that we needed, obviously, because we're going to be living in it for an extended period of time. But that just wasn't possible at the time. COVID basically
bumped all the prices right up.
As you all probably know, the prices went right up, and there was no second-hand vans, and the ones that were available were as expensive as a new one. So we ended up going with a new van, and we ordered that, and it took 12 months from ordering it to come, a bit over 12 months, which gave us a bit of time to save up and pay for it. And the van cost us, I think the base price was 85,000. And then by the time we added on all the things that we needed to add on, the third bunk, that was an extra, bike racks was an extra, what else did we add on that was extras? Stone guard was an extra.
Just all little things like that.
Electric sway controller, whatever it's called, that was an extra. So we added on all the things that we wanted to add on, and that brought it up to about 95,000, which was quite a bit over the budget that we'd set, but COVID tax. And then when we got the van, we put on the solar system, we put on
And a drive.
yeah, in the drive solar system, we put in a diesel heater, and we put in the wide tie anti-theft thing.
Yeah.
And that brought it all up to about 110, I think, total. So that was huge. We'd gone from years of just saving and saving and saving to all of a sudden we're just like spewing cash, and that was a bit of a
little bit nervous.
a bit nerve-wracking, to say the
A
least.
lot of bricks.
Yeah. And then we had to get a tow vehicle as well, because the cars that we had weren't suitable. So we ended up selling both our cars, and we got a D-Max. Like we said, we didn't want to spend crazy money on a car. The Toyotas and those ones were kind of 100 to 120,000
Yeah,
in per.
looked at a couple of 79 series, and that was just way out of budget.
Yeah, it was crazy money at
Yeah.
the time, and so we just decided that we'd go with the D-Max, which limited us on what van we could have because of the weights, but it's worked out well anyway. So the D-Max, I think we got for 52. It was set up, it was second hand, it was set up for towing, had to do to that was
GVM
the
upgrade.
GVM upgrade, the Petters lift and GVM upgrade, and we had to put all-terrain tyres on it. I think that was it.
Yeah, so altogether it was like 56 or
56,
something like that.
56, something like that, or 58. Yeah, so 110-ish for the van, 58 for the car, and then we had to, so all the bits and pieces that you have to buy, like your ground cover, your awning tie-down ropes, your electric cables, your grey water hose, your water hose, tables, chairs, barbecue, all of that stuff. We've got a second cassette, so all of that I would say probably came in at around 3,000 to 4,000.
Probably 165 all in, something like that.
So that's how much it cost us to set up rig, and that's a huge amount of money. And this, we probably, if we were doing this for a shorter period, or if we were doing it for holidays, we wouldn't spend that kind of money on it. Definitely not. But as it was going to be our home for an extended period, that's what it was. So, and we sold everything. We sold our house, property, cars, tools. We sold everything. So, and a lot of that money's been put aside for buying when we're ready to buy again. And then we, along with the savings, we kind of calculated that we wanted to kind of cover the first years that we spent money. And initially we budgeted 1,000 a week, but then over time we realised that costs had gone up, so we changed it to 1,500 a week, which works out to be 75,000 a year. And we didn't quite get to that. I think we ended up with about 50,000 set aside for our first year's worth of spending. But we knew that we wanted to work along the way. So when I came here as a backpacker, and when I travelled when I was younger, the working part of it was what I enjoyed the most. It was the most interesting experience. I did things and met people and saw things that I would not have done had I not worked. So I knew, and Trent was the same in London.
Went to Europe, worked there as a bricklayer, met contacts who I've still got today who, you know, it's the same here in Australia. If you're travelling around, you're going to meet people in all these different places if you're working, and that sets you up to do other things, you know.
Yeah, for us the travel was just as much about the people as it is about the places, and so working kind of just adds another layer to that whole thing. Granted, we didn't want to be working, you know, for 12 months of the year, but we did want that experience. So the fact that we didn't get to our budget goal savings for the first year, but it wasn't that big of a deal. As long as we had enough there that we felt comfortable if something were to go wrong, or if we weren't able to find work or whatever. So that's what we did. What have I got next here? So the next thing I've got down here to talk about is our weekly costs. And back at the start of this year, I did a series of budget posts where I kept a track of everything that we spent. I think I did that in February, March, April, May, June and July. And our average weekly spend was between 1,000 and 1,500 a week. That's for all 5 of us. We've had weeks where it goes over that. We haven't had any weeks where it was under 1,000, but we've had a week here and there where it was about 1,100 a week. And it just depends, like it's so variable how far you're travelling, how fast you're travelling, whether you're staying in caravan parks or whether you're free camping, whether you're near shops, you know, all those things make a difference. And I would say when you're remote in WA, in the Northern Territory, you spend a bit more, just because of the prices out there are more expensive. And then when you're sort of down in around South Australia's probably been the cheapest place we've found. The free camps are amazing. There's pretty much shops and everything everywhere you go, so that, you know, our costs were a bit lower down here. But that's our weekly costs. And then we've got the ongoing costs, so like your insurances and stuff like that. So we've got RAC, we'll pay for the ultimate RAC cover, and I think that costs us $350 a year. we've got obviously car and van insurance, and they have jumped up massively this year. The car insurance is about
nearly $1,000 just for D-Max.
Yeah, for the year.
Yeah.
And we're with that, I think it's called Mr. 4x4 or something like that, Pat Callanan.
Yeah.
And it's really good cover, but yeah, 1,000 a year for that. And then the van insurance jumped up to 1,600 for the year. So that's pretty huge. But it's still less than what we were paying when we were at home. The rego of the car, apparently Western Australia is one of the cheapest states. I don't know, don't quote me on that, I just heard somebody else say it. That's about 900 a year. And then we've also got just the basic Bupa extra cover for ambulance cover, because you need to, obviously you want to make sure that if something goes wrong you've got ambulance cover. I think that costs us about $30 a month. I don't think we've got any other ongoing costs.
No.
And in that, when I was budgeting, when I was doing the budget posts, I did actually include those costs. They came up during that time when I was keeping track of everything, so they were included in those costs. Yeah, fuel is probably your biggest cost.
Biggest expense.
Yeah. It's just unavoidable. It's just what it is. And then you've got obviously your accommodation. If you can free camp, great. If you're in caravan parks and stuff, you're looking at average sort of 55 to 75 a night for a powered site with 3 kids. Groceries, that's variable, like I was saying. So if you're down in civilization where there's, Woolies, Coles, Aldi, the whole lot, we average probably about 300 to 400 a week on groceries. And then when we're up in the Northern Territory in WA and a bit more remote, it's probably more like 400 to 500 a week for groceries. And then you've just got your outings and stuff like that, and any tours and whatnot that you want to do. Ongoing costs, working on the road. So we've done 2, and when I say we, I mean Trent. I haven't worked yet. I've been watching the kids in school and the kids and doing that, but Trent's done 2 work stints so far.
One in Exmouth, stopped there for about 6 weeks.
Yep, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
About 8 weeks, and that was early on, and it was only that our plans changed and we ended up with a little bit of time to kind of fill. So we thought, well, we'll go to Exmouth. It's a nice place, but it's also a very expensive place. So we thought, well, if we can just cover our costs while we're here and not be at least eaten into our funds that we've got set aside, that's great. So how did you find?
I find, so if there's any tradies who watch this or are watching, plan ahead, obviously. Go on all the social media, Facebook pages, all the bricklaying pages around the country. That's your best bet. Put an ad on there, get a load of phone numbers. If you're heading towards, say, Exmouth like we did, I put an ad on the local community page, and within 2 hours I had work. It's the same anywhere. If you're a tradie, you know what it's like. Guys will help you out. If someone knows someone, they'll put you in touch with them, and it's really quite easy. And
what's the name of the groups that you generally
usually go National Bricklayers Australia is probably the best one. That's the biggest group.
Is there any that's just for like general tradies?
General tradies I'm not sure of, but for bricklaying there's similar ones. There's probably carpentry, plumbing, electrical, but for bricklaying specifically, National Bricklayers Australia, Bricklayers Perth, Bricklayers Melbourne, Bricklayers Queensland.
Yeah.
All the states have them. It's pretty easy to find, and
And then there's other groups as well, jobs for travelling families in Australia, and I can't remember the name. There's like a number of different groups. What was I going to say? If you wanted to do like rural work, there's a one for rural.
Yeah, rural and remote jobs. So if you've got a, MC license, HC, if you can drive, if you've worked on a farm, they're screaming out for workers, and like, especially in WA, grain season, sowing season, harvest season, you get work really easy if you're prepared to, go out to the country towns and stay for a bit.
And then there's another one that I've just found recently. It's called Caravan Park Jobs, I think. And I can post them all in the comments or something like that. But because I'm probably going to try and get some work in a caravan park on the next time that Trent's pulled up for a work stint. And I think that's pretty easy to do. And once you get experience doing that with using their system, I think it's RMS or something like that. I think it can be quite easy. I know people who have gotten work in the caravan. And when we were in Darwin, I probably could have gotten work there. There was a heap of families coming through, and they were just desperate for people to work in the park. How many families did we meet that came through the park in Darwin?
At least 4.
Yeah. While we were there, and Trent was doing his work stint there. So we did the 8 weeks in Exmouth, but that turned into, you weren't doing full days, were you? No, we thought he was going to have full days.
If you're a trader, you understand not all people are totally honest with you, and you made a lot of characters along the way. They were characters.
I don't know that it was a matter of being dishonest. I think they were just a bit disorganised, perhaps.
Yeah.
It
was a nice spot to be parked up for a while. So
it ended up being more like part-time work, but like I say, because we hadn't left it to the last minute and we weren't sort of desperately trying to top up the bank balance, that didn't matter so much. We were just covering our costs there. But when we got to Darwin and we had our funds were getting a bit low, that was, if it had turned out to be like that, that would have been quite disappointing. But it didn't. It worked really well. So in Darwin, Trent worked with a friend who lives there now and got his own bricklaying business there. And I think he'd ended up doing about 4 full months if you worked it out.
Yeah, probably 4.5 months full work, And at the time, that was probably one of the best paying in the whole country for bricklaying. They were paying 80 an hour for a tradesman. So if you were willing to go remote, so out in Arnhem Land and places like that, they were paying up to 100 an hour, and that was including your accommodation as well.
Yeah.
So, if you can get onto something like that while you're on the road, that's really, really good.
So Trent just kind of keeps an eye on, like, where's looking for people and where's paying the best, pretty much. And then we'll choose, well, we like the sound of that place, we'll go there and we'll do that. But we've met people, like I say, so we met a family who the mum is a nurse and she had registered with a nursing agency, casual job place. And I think they did, worked it out to be about sort of 3 months work, 3 months off, 3 months work, 3 months off, something like that. And she'll line her work up in advance in the way that she's going, and in that instance they'll actually pay her accommodation while she's there.
Travel to get there.
They'll pay a certain amount towards travel to get there. She gets all these extra perks in with it, and then obviously she being casual and filling in and whatnot, she gets quite good wages for those 3 months. So that's how they work it. Another family that we've met, one of them is that the dad's still doing FIFO, so as long as he's near to an airport where he can fly to wherever it is he's got to go, so he does 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and in the 2 weeks off they travel, 2 weeks on they'll just hang out at mum camps up with the kids in a nice caravan park. We wouldn't mind doing some farm work or station work for an experience like that, and I think that's pretty easy to come by as long as you can commit to the whole season and get some experience doing that stuff. So, and I have no idea how much that's paying, but if anybody who's watching has done that kind of thing, I'd love to know what that's like and how much that kind of pays. Not that matters so much really, as long as you've got your accommodation and whatnot paid for. So ways that we save money on the road is free camping as much as we possibly can. We've just cottoned on to house sitting and farm sitting. So there's, again, groups on Facebook where and a couple of months ago I just put up a post and said we're in these areas. this is us, this is what we're looking to do. And I was absolutely inundated with messages and offers to go and
Crazy.
look after the place. Like, I'm talking like maybe up to like 80 messages. And then, oh, you did 18 months on a station. Cool, I'd love to talk about that. That would be really interesting. I'm not sure if I'm cut out for it, if I'm honest. I'd love to do it, but I just think it would kill me. Trent would be fine. He's used to the heat and the hard work. So I was inundated with offers for farm stay and house sitting. As long as you're willing to go to places that aren't, in all the
Off the beaten track.
a little bit off the beaten track. But we found that was really great because we went to a place that we wouldn't have gone to, and there was actually heaps to see and do around there, and it was such a nice community. And again, this is a reason why doing these things as part of your travel experience is so good, because you get to meet people and do things that you wouldn't necessarily do, and sometimes they end up being better than the things that you think are going to be great. The big ticket items can sometimes be a disappointment when you've built them up, and then the ones that are unexpected just end up being great. So I'm just looking at my notes to see if I've covered everything I wanted to cover, and I'd love if there's any questions. Oh good, we'll have to have a chat about that. Just going through these. Okay, no questions, that's good. If anybody has got any questions, just pop it in and I'll try and answer them. So I think I've covered everything pretty much. Just ways that we save money on the road. Like, we don't do every single experience, we don't do every single attraction. We like to go to the beach and spend a day at the beach. We like to go to the national parks and go for a walk or a hike. We really pick and choose the things that we do, and
don't eat out all the time.
Yeah, that's
buy
a big
chook
one.
from somewhere and pack of bread rolls and some coleslaw, and
yeah, if we're caught out and we're hungry and it's lunchtime and we're not near the van, we'll do that rather than going out for dinner. Or, like, don't get me wrong, we do go out occasionally, but we just don't make a habit of it.
Don't drink copious amounts of beer.
Yeah, and that was another way that we kind of saved money as well beforehand. Trent, you dropped right back from drinking like a carton a week to
more than that,
probably more than that, to less than 6-pack a week, sometimes nothing. We're just not huge drinkers. We're getting too old for that, I think. We did all that when we were younger. We pickled ourselves. How else do we save money and make the budget stretch?
Find the cheapest place for fuel.
Yeah, just
usually
using a fuel app
fuel
and using your discount cards and stuff like that makes a difference when you do the kind of kilometres that we're doing. And then just the last thing I had written down is what advice would give to other people who were wanting to do it or looking into doing it. And I don't know, what would you say?
Just bite the bullet.
Yeah,
and do it, because
make it happen. It doesn't have to be the big fancy lap in the big, amazing setup. You don't have to have all the gear. You don't have to do all the things. And you can work. There's loads of people doing lots of different types of work.
Yeah.
Loads of people doing it on different budgets.
Well, if your budget wasn't that big, you can buy a second-hand van, second-hand car.
You probably
older
can
van,
now.
a lot cheaper. So there's loads of ways to do it and do it comfortably.
And the reason that I wanted to come on and chat about it is because, like I say it asked all the time, and when we're on the road, it just like you forget that what you're doing is not the norm because you're around people who are doing it all the time. And when I've seen that question asked all the time, I'm like, oh, well, they could do this or they could do that. Or I've seen this family doing it this way and this family doing it that way. So I have actually lined up, I think, another 2 or 3 families that have agreed to come and speak live about the way that they're earning a living. And it's just regular work. It's not any of this secretive come on a Zoom and we'll tell you how we'll make millions by doing not very much. That's a load of crap. It's just people doing regular jobs, making it work, having experience. I mean, God, fruit picking. I did fruit picking when I was backpacking. There's heaps of that. It's not the best job in the world, but you know, you'll definitely be able to get work doing that. Hospitality. If you come up,
every town you go to, they're looking for just front of house
go
people.
and learn how to be a barista, you'll get a job. Get your RSA, you'll get a job. There's plenty work out there. Get some experience in, like I say, in the caravan parks with the systems that they use. You'll be able to pick up work.
If you're willing to have a go, pretty much you can do it at anything.
Yeah. And I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, never mind. So yeah, just make it work. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there then before I start rambling on and talking a load of crap. Just look out for more lives coming up. I'll be chatting to other families who are working different ways. I've got another one coming up about schooling. I'm going to be talking to Liz, who is the founder of Travelling Kids Academy. We found them about 6 months ago when we were looking for an alternative to School of the Air, and they are just amazing, and we're starting with them this year, and I cannot wait because it's just the things that they're doing in the Kids Academy is amazing. So look out for that one. I'll probably be talking to her next week and asking her all the questions about school and the kids and how you can use your travel experience as education rather than trying to follow generic curriculums and spending hours battling with the kids to do their schoolwork. And then just be chatting to more families who are working on the road and about how they do it. All right, thanks guys for joining. We'll speak again soon. Bye. How do I bloody stop it? How do I stop it? Does anybody know how to stop a live? That one?